Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, and thyself plant here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, Episode 16, Spirit Guides. All right. Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Kaitlyn.
And welcome to Third Eye Bind.
In this episode, we are talking about
Spirit Guides. If
you love Third Eye Bind, we would love for you to support the show by liking, subscribing, leaving us a review, following us on Instagram or TikTok at Third Eye Bind Pod. Or if you really love us, we would appreciate it if you subscribe to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Third Eye Bind Pod.
No, it's just Third Eye Bind.
Oh,
it's just Third Eye Bind.
Patreon.com/Third Eye Bind.
It's just Third Eye Bind.
JK.
JK.
I'm
It
new
gets
here.
confusing. It's our first episode. Just kidding. It's not.
It's not. It's our 16th episode.
Wow, sweet 16.
I know, it's our sweet 16.
Wow.
I'm really proud of us. Okay,
Spirit guides. Okay,
let's do the thing.
let's do the thing.
And pull a
where
tarot card.
They pulled the card, and then I go, what? Please tell me what that means. For spirit
Oh, that's it.
guides.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Do I cut it? Yes. Yes. Okay.
What? Okay. I don't know what it would be.
It's funny because I was actually just watching this episode of ours on ghosts, and in the beginning I pulled the King of Wands and a local guide, to more like a guide to the land than a guide
Yeah.
to individuals, came through named Job.
Job.
And I pulled once again the King of Wands. The King of Wands.
Okay, that's weird.
Nothing
okay,
is
okay.
a coincidence.
No, that's-
But I want
Okay.
to read the lyrics today because I didn't read the lyrics in that episode.
Wow.
And it is, I faced it all and I stood tall and I did it my way.
Frank Sinatra.
But what I think is particularly interesting about these lyrics, especially in relationship to spirit guides, is that when it comes to your guides, these are beings who really have, in their own unique ways, through their many different lifetimes, faced it all and have been through multiple human and some non-human experiences before getting to the point where they are elevated enough to be of assistance to us. And something I think a lot of my clients, at least, get confused by at first is this feeling that I have to do exactly what my guides say. I have to do what they say. But your guides are not your parents. They're not authority figures. They're here to offer you insight and perspective that you may not have access to on your own, so that you are able to exercise your agency and your free will from a place of confidence. They're not here to tell you how to do it, though they can make some really good suggestions. They are here to empower you to do it the way you want to live the life that you desire, and to fulfill your dreams and your destiny.
Yeah, it's like giving you that boost of confidence and connection. For me,
Yes.
they're a way to connect to my power source, and I don't feel alone. Like, that's sort of that. I was going to say, too, about like my way. It's like they help you so you're able to do things your way. Like, it's very personalized. It's very individual. Everyone has a different relationship with their spirit guides, which is something we will talk about today. And we should talk about like the, you know, like the expectations people have with spirit guides.
Ooh,
and like
yes.
what, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the time it's, you know, maybe people don't hear their voices in the same way that someone else does. Maybe they see them, or maybe they just feel them, which there's different ways to sort of notice that they're even there, right?
Absolutely.
But that is weird that we pulled that
I know,
card.
right?
It's such a vast, but just between the two of us, like for me, what I want to get across to those listening is that it's not all the same for everybody. And it's not, and if you don't have that same experience as maybe even your mentor does, that a good mentor will help you find your way to connect with them, not theirs.
Absolutely. And that's something that I stress the importance of when I'm working with either individual clients or students, is that I'm not here to help you do things exactly the same way I do it, because that's not the point. That's not the point of any of this. I'm here to give you all of the tools and resources I possibly can so that you can discover your own channel. You can discover your own relationship and way of communicating with your spirit guides. And I think that that's another thing folks tend to get tripped up on. I get a lot of DMs and emails regularly from people saying, I want to talk to them like you do. I want to channel them like you do. And the truth is, none of us channel the same way someone else does. And that's beautiful. We all have our own unique gifts of the spirit. And some of us might talk to our guides through the clairs. I think claircognizance is probably the most common, but also the hardest to trust. It's just when you suddenly know something. And like Laura said, some people see guides, some people hear guides. Often our guides, when they're first getting to know us, speak in our own voice, which can be a little confusing too. But some of us channel through art. Some of us channel through music, through dance, through creation. And when we release the expectation of doing it the way someone else does, we're able to discover the really delicious ways we do it on our own, which I think is cool.
So what are some ways that you do it? Like, what do you experience? And then I'll talk about what I experience.
So for the most part, my guides, I engage with all the clairs, but clairaudience is probably the most common that I experience. They talk to me all day long, all of the time. When I'm cooking, they'll give me information. When I'm washing my hair, they're telling me things. It doesn't really matter what I'm doing. I'm driving,
Taking
I'm walking.
a shit.
Exactly. Literally. It doesn't matter what I'm up to. When I'm still enough, or like on autopilot enough, like washing the dishes, folding the laundry.
Autopilot enough is something I want to highlight.
Yes, because autopilot is a trance state, really. And that's why it's something I encourage. Like, listen to them while you're folding the laundry. But they talk to me a lot that way. And then, you know, when I'm working with clients, it's a little bit different. It's more a clairvoyant experience where I'm seeing them do things. I'm seeing other people's guides. I'm describing their guides to them. But for the most part, it's clairaudience. They just talk to me all day long.
And you know them by name.
I do.
And that it's very detailed with you, which I find fascinating.
I do. I know each of my guides by name, and part of the reason I do is because I come from a tradition where we make it's part of the practice,
right,
to know your individual guides, to know their different gifts, to know what realms of spirit they belong to. I have guides that are very elevated who used to be human, and they were also spiritual practitioners. And I also have guides that come from, how do I want to say this? Am I allowed to talk about it? Yes. Okay. I have guides who come from like the shadows and the fires. I have Eshus and Bombajiras, and they're the spirits of the bar and the cabaret and the crossroads. And each of them assists me in a different way. And depending on what my needs are, I will engage with them in different ways. And yeah, getting to know them by name has been something that was really important for me, especially because I talk to so many spirits all of the time.
Yeah,
other people's
that's a good
spirits
point,
that
too.
come to me. Like for me, I need to know who I'm talking to.
Yeah. So that's like, it's logical for you to be like, I need to know who the fuck I'm talking to.
Yes.
Because I do this for a living. I do this for other people. And it's so ingrained in your life that you need to know those things. Me, on the other hand, I don't really need to know all that yet, currently. I wasn't raised with a practice that taught me how to do that. You know, like that it was a cultural practice.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. And that's like, I like being on a journey. I've talked about this before. I don't think anything is the end all be all. I like not knowing everything. So for me, that's something I'm like, oh, maybe someday I'll get more specific with that. But for now, it's interesting because I feel like they've shown up in things that I've just had really like celestial things I've had connection to, like the moon. I feel like they've talked to me through the moon. Truly, I think that they still do. At least, I don't know if it's one of them. I don't know. There's definitely a connection there. But I don't really know their names, where it's like Mary Todd, whatever. Mary Todd, that's all Lincoln's wife's name. Why did that pop in my head? I don't know. Maybe that is your fucking name. It's all Mary Todd Lincoln's like my spirit guide. Wow.
Imagine.
Maybe they're whack and I just don't need to know any more about them. I'm just kidding. But I do feel, I do hear voices. Sometimes it is in my own voice. And like I can automatic writing, and I get it. It's funny because I would say like pay attention to the things that you do that put you in a trance state, that you're like, you just kind of go. When I would write poetry, like anything, pen to paper, something happens where I can just write anything, something will come out.
Yeah.
Something will come out. I'm never at a loss for words. I'm a Gemini. But truly, like it's just this, it's like time and space don't exist, and there's just things spilling out of me.
Like a portal.
Onto it. Yes, and that's something I didn't think about, that was connected to me like magically in a spiritual sense, until I started I should say restarted my witchcraft practice, and then even putting it together recently, like, oh shit, that's what that is.
Did you write a lot as a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I wrote a lot through I used to journal all the time. Like I don't anymore, but it's like I know that I could. But I did some automatic writing, like channeling last night.
Yeah.
For some spirit candy, and it was just like nothing. It's something that I don't need to even practice. It just comes to me, right?
Yes.
So that's something that or if you're a painter, like that too, like art and creativity, that sort of happens for me. That might be a way that you're connecting, right?
Yeah.
And you may, and it's funny because you're like, oh, that's all that is, because things are sensationalized, and you're like, oh, it needs to look this way, and then you're already doing it and you don't even notice.
Yes.
Because it's not what your expectation upholds.
I think that's another good lesson from the King of Wands, because the King of Wands is about
My way, right?
our creativity.
Yeah.
What inspires us, the things that we are excited to do and that we feel really good at, or we feel good when we're doing them. And those things truly can be, and likely are, a channel to your guides.
Yeah.
Something that I've learned through my practice is that if there's something you're inspired to do, there's likely a guide with you who's also pretty great at that.
Yeah.
And so when you follow the lead of your inspiration, it definitely becomes easier to communicate with them and to receive their messages. I think reading's another good way.
Reading too,
Yeah, because
that's,
you just kind of zone out and like on a page, not so much the screen, but reading's a good way to get into that trance state as well.
Yeah, it's that feeling where you're idle. It's like an idle mind is the devil's playground. Like an idle mind is the spirit's playground. Truly,
Yes,
that's what
absolutely.
that means.
Yes.
So, yeah,
I love that.
That's like a little thing I've learned is like, your shit's not going to look like everybody else's. It's not, and you're likely already doing things that are connecting you. You just aren't giving it that attention.
Yes.
Or putting, those things together, which is fine. We're all freaking learning, right?
Yeah, part of the journey of getting to know your guides is like the discovery process.
Yeah.
They want you to go through the treasure hunt of putting the pieces together and realizing what connects you to them.
They will, and they will connect to you, and they will. I also get like physical tingles. I get tingles and like just a deep sense of like calm and like I can't even explain it very well. It's like euphoric.
Yeah.
It's like a sense of euphoria, and I'm like not on drugs, guys. Like for real. Like it's just when things just sort of make sense, and it's like this deep, calm, euphoric feeling. That's when I know I'm like kind of tapping into something.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But
That's what the trance state really is. Like when you're able to...
you're not
so
comfy. There you go. Sorry, I'm talking about the dog.
dog.
In case you're listening and not watching.
The show baby.
Show baby.
I think some ways to connect with your guides, or at least to make it known that you want to form a relationship with them. A good way to do that is to set out a white candle and a glass of water and to just say, like, may my benevolent guides be with me now. And then do something that you feel called to do, whether it's writing or drawing, or maybe you want to play a particular playlist of music, or maybe you want to shake a little rattle or dance or whatever it is. I keep coming back to this one because it's a really good one. Fold laundry.
Yeah.
Zone out.
Cooking. I go into trance mode when I cook.
The kitchen is such a busy... Yeah, the kitchen is very busy with spirits. There's something about the hearth.
The creation, the hearth, the herbs, the creatings, the alchemy.
Absolutely.
Super fun.
Yes.
I was thinking I was making oatmeal raisin cookies the other day, and I was like, man, I just made these out of ingredients.
Yes, it
like,
is alchemy.
How dope is that? And then I ate them. I ate them all. But
delicious.
Like, yeah. But how good is? I just think that's magic.
It is magic.
And it is magic.
Cooking and baking
it's a
is
spell.
magic.
A recipe is a spell.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the spirits are so busy in the kitchen. I've had so many clients whose spirits were like, can you please move your altar to the kitchen?
Yeah.
Can you move it to the kitchen?
That's really funny that you said that, because I got like a wall pocket thing.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a little kitchen-y altar-y thing.
Yes.
It's cute though.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea if you want to put in altar. I'm a fan of like multiple altars throughout the house.
Me too.
There's like a main dig, and then you got your side hustles, right? So I got
Satellites.
you got your satellites, bing, they're like little planets. But yeah, I have one for hearth. I got one for Venus in my bathroom, kitchen. Yeah, it's all so fun making altars. Little altars everywhere.
Little altars everywhere. You know, what's interesting is with, it's interesting when you think about little altars everywhere, because I think that's something that was really prevalent before, like, European imperial culture. And now it gets dismissed a lot as kitsch, having altars everywhere. there, but really like that was the norm.
Yeah.
All over the world, having little altars everywhere, patterns everywhere, having little special symbolic items all over
little
the place.
knickknacks and tchotchkes.
Yes, exactly. Now it's dismissed as like, it's like a punchline in a lot of things, but it's magic.
It is.
They're little portals for connecting with your guides. Having an altar definitely makes it easier to connect with your guides, I think.
Yeah. And to give them things.
Yes.
Which we've talked about before, but yeah, like you mentioned a glass of water, like that's a simple way to leave something for your spirit.
Absolutely.
We have our spirit candy here for our show spirit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a two-way street. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about like, okay, you have a relationship. How do you maintain that relationship with your spirit guide? You don't just ask them for shit, right? You have to give back. You have to treat them as if you'd want to be treated by a friend, right?
Yes, it's a relationship.
Yeah.
It is a relationship. And so it can't always be about you. Your guides are people too.
My way. This is the spirits are like, it's my way.
Your guides are
Also
people
my
too.
way.
And they appreciate offerings, of course, and it can be simple, like we said, a glass of water, some Halloween candy,
tobacco,
lighting a candle for them, reading them poetry,
honey,
playing them music, yes,
a muffin,
a few bites of your dinner on a little dish, little gifts like that. But also more permanent gifts are nice too, like
tattoos.
Totally.
I have some.
Or like something that I always stress the importance of is we all have guardian spirits. In my practice, they're called warriors. Leave them a weapon, leave them a knife or a little bow and arrow or something that they can use to assist you. From the tradition I'm in, a slingshot, exactly. Something
fashion a slingshot,
very David and Goliath.
Yeah. I was thinking more like the Sandlot, but yeah.
Dennis the Menace.
That was my visual, but yeah, my non-biblical self. Fuck him up like Dennis the Menace. Isn't that the movie where he shoots the slingshot and it's on fire and it like goes in?
Yes, I think so. The neighbor's head. Yes.
Mr. Wilson's head?
Mr. Wilson gets
It's
like a knot on his head.
It's like really graphic. Okay. It's fine.
Movies were different for kids in the 90s.
God. Fuck you up. They will fuck you up.
They will. But like, okay, the gifts that we leave our spirits assist them at being better at what they do, which assists you at being better at what you do. So like on my altar, I have guides who have card decks because that's what I do. I'm a card reader and I have multiple guides who are also diviners, so they get their own. And spirits of water, I make sure that there's lots of like watery energy around them, like river stones and seashells and things, and all of those things help deepen your connection to them, though they really don't need much. Your altar expands as your practice expands. That's the truth.
It is. Yeah, it is. And it's sort of like, it's fun because it's a way for you to just be creative with what you want to offer and what you can also ask, what do you want?
Yeah, they love it when you ask.
Yeah. I mean, just engagement too in general, I find like I'll talk to them periodically throughout the day.
Yes.
You know, especially when I'm alone and I'm running errands or something, like the acknowledgement is important too. It's not like, here's a cookie, bye, No,
they want to spend time with you. They want your attention. They want to commune with you.
Yeah. And that's the whole inkling a lot of us get when we know that we're witches or want to be witches or practice witchcraft, is that curiosity and wonder of the world and like just wanting it to be magical. It's that feeling. Not everybody has that feeling, and those of us that do are fucking witches.
Absolutely.
I just can't explain it any other way.
When you said running errands, that made me think about how like sometimes I'll be at the supermarket and I'll suddenly want something, but I know that like I just know it's not for me, but I have this desire to get it.
It's for me.
Exactly. It'll
I'm
be
hungry.
for the altar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, recently we went to get some dim sum, like to go dim sum.
Yummy.
And I was like, I have to get the chicken's feet. And like, I eat all the shit, but I normally don't eat the chicken's feet. And I was like, I have to get them. I have to get them. And so when I got home, I knew immediately they had to go on the altar.
There you go.
They also like when you see things that align with their like epithets or their attributes. Like I have a particular spirit who carries a big scythe, and I was shopping for groceries, and I don't drink, but there was this bottle of wine that was called like Hook and Crook, and it had like a big scythe on it, and I was like, I have to buy this. I have to buy this immediately. And I took it home and I poured them a glass and left it on the altar for them. But I find that they're always present when I'm grocery shopping. Like, can I have a little bit of that?
That's cute too.
Can you grab that for me? Almond candies they usually want. Marzipan, things like that. Tamarind candy.
Tamarind. Smokes. Mine seem to like my cloves, so.
Yeah, most good spirits want tobacco.
Yeah. They
a
want
little
to vibe
bit of
out
alcohol.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Libation. Yeah, I feel like it can be really intimidating to a lot of people to think about spirit guides, if they have them, what their names. I just feel like it's an intimidating thing, and I want to like demystify that a little, because it's different for everybody. And like you said, when people message you and say, I want to practice like you, it's like, well, why do you want to speak to your spirit? It's like somebody else, because it looks cool, because it sounds cool, because that's what you think it should look like.
Like, my job isn't to teach you how to do it like me. It's to show you that you can do it like you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most fun part, is when folks realize like, oh, fuck, I've been doing this all along.
Right. Yeah. And then it's like,
usually a lot of that.
It looks a little bit different. And I remember you mentioning too in another episode that you had done things a certain way, and then you remembered or saw, other people in your community like channeling, and you're like, oh, that's what I do.
Yes.
That it was affirming to you to be like, okay, I'm already doing that. But to try and like put your square peg into a circle hole of a practice, like, that's not the idea, right? I mean, I'm not tripping off the fact that Kaitlyn knows the fucking names and birth dates and like astral charts of their fucking guides. Sorry, but I'm not like concerned about that. I'm like, oh, well, what am I doing? That's not right. Because it's just different. I was brought up differently. We're all on our different like journeys. It's just.
I think that's one of the nice things about being within a somewhat structured spiritual science or spiritual practice, is that when you feel like, I don't know where to begin, you have these guidelines for like, well, here's some steps that you can take to get started. You usually have this type of guide, and this type of guide with you. And I think folks get overwhelmed thinking about, oh my God, there's infinite beings all around me. How am I ever going to get to know them all? And the truth is, most of us don't get to know them all because there's so many. And if you start with one, one voice, one energy, one spirit. As your relationship grows, you'll notice others starting to chime in as you need them, which is cool.
I'm laughing because there was a time I was at a friend's house, and we're not friends anymore. It's fine, but they I don't know what we are. It's complicated. If it was on Facebook, it's complicated. But anyways, they could see spirits, and we were doing like a Samhain, like Halloween ritual together, which I never do with anybody, but it was kind of fun and it was vibey. And all of a sudden they were like, there's a woman behind you. And I was like, oh, fuck to the no. And immediately I was like, nope, don't want to see you. Don't want to know you. Goodbye. Get the fuck away. Like, I don't think I'm a person that wants to actually fucking see ghosts. But I do kind of, but I don't kind of.
Can I tell you that she's been behind you the whole time?
Shut up. Does she have okay.
Do you want me to tell you
Yes.
anything? Brown hair. Long sleeve dress. Buttons.
Okay.
Buttons. Collar. Apron. Spoon. Hairs in a bun.
Shut the fuck up. Did you hear what she just said, Mike?
Is that weird?
Hairs in a bun. That was the thing I was waiting for.
Yeah, hairs in a
low bun, right?
Low bun, yeah, parted
I
down
have
the middle
full
in a
fucking
low
body
bun.
chills right now because my friend said there's a woman behind you.
Yeah.
She's older
Yeah.
and she has a low bun.
Yeah.
And I said, is she connected to, because we were entertaining spirits. I was like, is she connected to me or not? She said yes.
Yes. They've been asking
I know who
me
that is. Her name
since
is
we sat
Amy.
down. I was just going to say.
Shut the fuck up. Okay.
I should have said it first.
I know. I'm sorry. I know. I believe you. It's fine. Her name is Amy, and she was my great grandmother, Amy Frances Morrow, and my middle name is Amy. So I didn't know her at all, but that is so fucking weird.
Yeah. I like the wooden spoon that she
Fine, I will
carries.
see you. No, I've connected. So look. But so that's another thing. You could have fucking psychic ass friends that see shit and just tell you, hey, I'm like so sweaty right now.
It'd be like that.
And it's funny because after my friend told me that she saw that woman with the low bun, I told my mom and she goes, oh, your grandma Amy always wore a low bun. And like she sent me some photos of her and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I think that's her. And like I've gone to her grave and stuff. And that it's a family member. So sometimes they're family members. Sometimes they're not.
Ancestors are a little bit different than spirit guides because ancestors have an agenda.
So weird, Kaitlyn. That is so weird. I was like, oh, they're going to say that, the hair's long and braided or something. I was waiting for the bun part.
She's very much like a guardian. I feel like I'm supposed to give you a reading today. So she's very much like a guardian spirit. And she's a little bit conservative.
Yeah.
She's a little bit conservative, but she understands your vibe and your practice.
Thanks.
Like she's not blocking it at all. It's just like she stands idly by with the spoon in her hand just in case she needs to smack like a spirit out of the way.
Thank you.
And she's very protective of you.
Aww.
But what's funny is that since we sat down, like I've been feeling your guides like shouting. The entire time, which is funny because we've done this 16 times and I've never had this happen before. But today they're like super like vocal and like
look at me.
Literally.
Let me in. Well, I think that she wanted to be acknowledged because I've put these pieces together. That when she was seen by my other friend / non-friend, it was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. 4 years ago? I don't even know. It's been COVID.
Wow, it's been a time.
So it's been, and that's so funny. That was weird, and that's fucking weird.
This is what I do.
Not that I'm surprised, but I did not expect that to come up.
Yeah.
But her name comes up a lot. So, okay, when I said I don't know the names of my guides, like I did. I know one of them, and that's Grandma Amy, okay? That's been confirmed by 2 people and my mom. So you just witnessed. So you do know more than you think.
You do know more than you think. More often than not,
I
you
have
do know
like tingles on the back of my whole body right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And last night I connected with her, so that's probably, part of why, because I opened my little channel up, and we were talking about spirit guides, and yeah, I feel like she's helped me a lot. I feel like I came out of a really depressive state. If you listen to the podcast, you will see me crawl out of my hole of despair, or hear. You truly will. From episode 1 where I was like, my dog died. I'm so sad. Like Eeyore, to like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like, I told my friend yesterday, I'm like, I'm just riding this wave of whatever is happening. I'm like tingly all the time. I'm very in control. I'm just vibing, and I don't really want to ask questions why. I just sort of go with it. But thank you, Amy, for helping me and protecting me.
That's like the best thing about spirit guides is that it doesn't matter what kind of hole you're in. It doesn't matter how bad things really are. Your spirit guides will help show you the small and big ways that you can exercise your agency to change your situation. And they're not going to gaslight you. It's not some like law of attraction bullshit. It's not. They're like, here's a little opportunity. If you say yes, this is going to change things.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And it starts as little baby steps. And some of the changes are big and sudden, but for the most part, it's tiny little tweaks.
Yeah.
And then one day, months later, a couple years later, you wake up and you're like, oh, fuck.
That's exactly.
I changed my life.
Exactly what I did. And what I'm doing. Like, it's just, it starts with like therapy. Okay.
Totally.
Shadow
help you find-
shadow work, which is it's a popular term, but like basically being accountable for your own shit, looking at the ugly parts of yourself and saying, what's up with this?
What's up with this? I
Let's
still love you, bitch.
it. I love you, but we don't need to have like a garden wall of thorns up. We don't need that anymore. For me, at least, that's what it was. So, and then you slowly cut down the roses like they do in Practical Magic when she's cutting the roses that grow overnight. Sometimes they grow over years. Sometimes they grow overnight. And you have to just like chop those fuckers down.
Yes.
And it takes time. And then I think I'm reaping what I've sown currently. So
yeah, absolutely.
it's work. It's not just like, leaving a cookie out for Amy. Like, it's work. So
for me, I remember very vividly like the moment I really, in my adult life, surrendered to my guides.
yeah.
And I worked in apparel for over a decade before I started doing this work professionally. And I was at yet another job that I fucking hated, that treated me badly. And I remember standing on the corner of Broadway and 7th downtown going to get lunch, and I could just hear them like talking in my head. And I was like, okay. And I just started crying on a street corner, and I called my dad and I was like, I need help. And he immediately like put me back into contact with our madrina, and I went to see her in Lake fucking Elsinore. I drove way out there to see her, and she told me what to do, and I came home and I put a glass of water. I like cleaned off a folding table is all I had. So I cleaned it off. I consecrated it, put a glass of water and a white candle, and was like, let's fucking do this. And that was in 2017. And I left my last job in apparel in 2019.
I remember when you did that too.
I got fired for the last time.
Yeah, that's right. I also got fired, kinda.
I kept getting ejected.
I quit because the place I worked at was it's like this bougie semi-spiritual place. They have two locations. One's on Melrose and one's in Los Feliz.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not going to name them.
No, we're not going to do that. Anyways, I had my own shop. They didn't like that I was selling like spell kits when they sold spell jars.
That was like a fake-ass witch store anyway.
No, they're not witches. And I was like, but mine are like legitimate.
Mine are real.
I literally was like, but mine are like real, and here's why yours are stupid. And then they didn't like that.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, we're going to have to write you up. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to quit. Bye. And then I just left. And then I did Lady Moonco after that, I think, right? And then I was a real estate agent for a while, and then Lady Moonco.
Yeah. I like started reading cards on the side in 2017. And was just doing it not with this. Well, I was doing it with the spirits, but not consciously with the spirits. It was just like a side hustle. And
that place was, the place I worked was haunted as fuck.
Really?
They were that type of place where they just shove a bunch of like creepy dolls into like the front of their. That place, the Los Feliz location is haunted as fuck.
No, thank you.
That's all I will say. Sorry I interrupted you. I needed to get that out, apparently.
I was like doing card readings on the side in like the building's fire escapes, and I think it was I like had to leave one job, and then I got fired from the last two because my bosses were shitty and racist, and I told them that they weren't allowed to say things like that in front of me. I'm like, I know I can't change who you are, but I need you to know that, like, I'm not the one. And the next day, my boss was like, I need you to know that I'd rather have someone who isn't you to be my assistant.
Oh, fuck. Wow. Okay.
I was like, I will be collecting unemployment. Goodbye.
Jesus.
And after that, I like for a minute tried to look for other opportunities, but my guides were like, why?
Right.
How many times does everything else have to reject you before you get it through your head that you're not supposed to be doing this?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that there were other options. And my Madrina's mom went through something similar where like she had just a lot of really hard shit in her life until she realized that she was supposed to be a spiritual practitioner.
So, but yes, things like that, signs like that, messages like that can change the course of your life.
True, literally. And it didn't happen overnight.
If you would have told baby Laura, little witch Laura, who's spilt candle wax all over her fucking carpet and pissed off her mom. My parents thought I was doing drugs because I would burn tomato leaves. Instinctively just started burning things. And they ran in there like, is there pot in here? I know that's pot. I was like, it's a fucking tomato leaf, Dad. Can you chill out and go watch your Pink Floyd live like videos? Jesus.
Leave me alone.
Just go away. But yeah, if you had told baby Laura that I would be openly a witch and it would be semi-acceptable in society.
Oh my God, yeah.
I would have been like, okay, no.
Yeah.
You're full of shit.
I never thought that
No
I
way.
could have like a legitimate, like pays some of my bills type of job.
I never thought I would make things for
Doing
witches. They would
this,
buy them
yeah.
and there'd be enough of them that I could make a living.
making more,
That's just
yes.
wild to me that's the thing.
And truly, like, the only reason I've been able to get to the place that I am is by listening to my guides.
Yeah, in whatever iteration that may
Yeah.
be. For me, it was just sort of whispers, and for you, maybe it was louder and more prevalent, but like we listened.
We listened.
Regardless of the volume or the quantity or the details, like we listened, we were open to that connection.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
When you're starting to
Yes.
find those right
Be open to
relationships.
trying what they say. And also realize that, like, when you make a choice that goes against what they say, your guides are not interested in punishing you or chastising you. Like, they're not your mom. They'll just say, okay, let's clean up this mess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not there's never a lot of judgment at all. Like, I just
They
feel
might, like, roast you a little bit, depending on who your guides are.
It's like Amy, like there's another guide I have that's not Amy that I don't know what just is like the most devious, like fun ass, vibed ass. You're all looking at them right now. Fuck you. Just like I feel like I have that, I'm like very amused by myself at all times. And I'm always like, I'm so funny. I feel like they're just like, yes, you are.
They are.
Like that's literally like, like that's,
They're like
there's
the
a
little
person
purple
like
devil
that.
emoji,
Yeah,
just
they're
like
the little
behind
purple.
you.
Like I don't know a lot of detail about that, but that's a fun one too.
Do you want to know their name?
Sure.
Juniper.
Juniper? Is this an earthbound spirit or a person spirit? Because I think it might be not a person.
They're an elevated spirit.
Okay.
They're not from Earth. Mm-hmm. They're
That's
from a
what I
different dimension.
Yep.
First planets to send to Earth. One of the first planets to send people to this Earth. Oh my God. So I hear this origin story a lot from different spirits from different planets. My turn. Okay, sorry. She's been with you since you were small. You guys used to play together. And you guys used to play together like your imaginary friend, your partner. She's been here since then. She's been here since your beginning. You're not her only, and you're not the only person that she's charged with guiding. There are a few other people under her charge. There are a few other people under her charge. And she really does look like a plant. Like she looks like purple flowers.
Well, that would make sense.
Yes. Which also, exactly.
I like
You're
purple.
so inspired by that color.
I always have been since I was little. Like
and
lavender,
like, your
particularly.
spirits, at least in the tradition I come from, our guides make up the many facets of our personality. They truly do. And like, she really is like the fun one.
I don't see shit,
you know?
but hello.
Like the fun one.
Yeah. She's been more prevalent lately because I'm back on my like, that's when I know when I'm in a good place is when I'm like, I've got my humor and giggles back.
She's very like sparkle. She kind of feels like effervescent. Like the bubbles in sparkling water or
pretty.
the bubbles in a glass of champagne, you know? Like, that's her vibe. And she's a little silly.
Cool. Well,
I see where you get your sense of humor from, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of
for
farts.
Sure.
There's a lot of poop.
Yeah.
It's very...
She thinks all that shit's so funny.
So it's so fucking funny. Diarrhea. That's what I call diarrhea.
Yeah.
There's a few less syllables, so it's easier to get out. Diarrhea. Without saying diarrhea, you can say diarrhea by saying diarrhea. Yes, totally. I'm glad that she's here. Thank you. Is it a she? Is it a they?
They don't really have gender where
Okay, we'll call you she.
she's from, but she was giving me she
All right.
to use.
She.
Yeah.
Wow, what a combo. We got Amy and fucking Juniper's crazy ass up in here.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
There's like two more in here
There
with you.
probably are. It's cool. There's a bunch. I know there's at least three. This is Laura's Spirit Guides podcast. So anyways, Kaitlyn can see all this shit.
So if you want to know who your guides are,
If you want it, seriously, and no, it helps to like be in contact with and work with a spiritual practitioner that can see these things that can help you find out their names, because I confirmed one, and I just learned the name of my jovial friend Juniper.
I fucking love that name for her too. It's so cute. She's so cute.
Isn't that nice?
That's like my favorite thing about my work is when I sit down in a reading and somebody really wants to start connecting to their guides and expanding their spiritual practice, and I start describing who comes through and the things that they're wearing and the names that they offer to me. Ooh, I have the hiccups, sorry. And then when I open my eyes, because my eyes are usually closed when I'm channeling, when I open them, my clients like, they're like, like mouth jaw on the floor, and they're like, I can't believe. And then they start telling me all of the different things about their own lives and their own experiences that they can connect to the guides who are with them. And they're like, this makes so much sense. And the excitement and the like realization that they're like, oh fuck, like I got this. It's not so mysterious after all. Is like it's so good. It makes me so happy. I like buzz so hard after sessions like that.
I'm so buzzing right now in that way.
Yeah,
like my whole back of my body is tingly right now. That's cool. got all my homies here. I got all my friends. I got my group.
Truly.
Got my Spice Girls here. I'm sorry I don't see shit. I'm all, hey, Amalia. Right? Is it Amalia?
Amalia also wears a low bun and is an elder spirit.
We like a low bun. I'm going to wear a low bun in the next episode because of that.
Like Ava is the guide that loves the most attention.
Ava. Hi, Ava.
Ava looks a lot like me, and she's really like silly. And when I channel her, she speaks in very like flowery language, and she likes to roast people a little bit and like drag their secrets and then give them really good advice. And then I have Felicita, who is like the mom. Like Felicita is the one who is in charge of all of the spirits. And I actually inherited Felicita from my grandfather, who knew Felicita. You can inherit spirits.
Knew her in person?
So
like
my
in living form?
Knew her in living form.
Wow.
In Cuba, when she was an espiritista and he was a child. Felicita Buenavide. and her guide, Francisco, is with me too, but I don't work with him as much. But when I started working with Felicita, I was really struggling to figure out what her name was. And one day my grandfather called me and he was like, how do I'm trying to translate in my head, but basically in his like thick Cuban accent, like, oh yeah. And he told me like, your guide is here. She wants you to know her name is Felicita. And then the other day when I went to his house, he was like, you got her from me because she helped me when I was a child. And when she died, she became my guide because she was a person who like lived a very, I don't want to say like pious because she was human.
Right.
She was wild when she was young, but she was just a good fucking person and an incredible espiritista. And because of that, and because she was elevated by her peers once she passed, she was able to enter into the realm of the guides really quickly. And she became his guide and his protector. Because my grandpa grew up very, very poor, and his dad would leave for like days and days. His mom died when he was 4. So he didn't have anyone except Felicita. And now she's with me and she works through me. And then like there are guides that come to me that I know are for my kids. Like I have certain spirits that I tend to their altar and I take care of them and I give them gifts and leave them offerings, but I know they are here for Hunter and Lola. And like it's my job to empower those spirits and to teach them how to commune with them too, because one day, you know, they're not always with me. I can't always protect them, and that like kills me.
That's the big thing I hear from parents is like,
it hurts.
It's like my heart is outside my freaking body and it's hard.
So scary sending them to school every day, especially in the United States where schools just aren't safe. Like, it makes me feel better knowing that they know how to call upon their protectors and that I'm doing all I can to strengthen their protective spirits so that they're as okay as they can be, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can inherit guides. Isn't that cool?
I think it's cool that Juniper like oversees not just me but others, like
yes.
So it's like your guides have other shit to do.
They do
sometimes.
Yes.
Like I wonder if Amy has other people to see, because I mean she is my like blood relative.
She's
so
only
I feel like it's
interested
just
in you.
me.
Yeah, she's only interested in you. And that's not unusual. Like I have an ancestral altar, and even though I leave gifts for them, I have this one great grandmother, my dad's grandma, and like she doesn't hang out with me. She hangs out with my cousins.
Right. I know. I wonder what it is that, you know, I didn't ever meet Amy that I remember, and so I wonder what it is. I mean, I was named after her. That might be the thing, is like, oh, when you name your child or your pet after somebody, there's like a power in that. There's an evocation of that, right? And that's why people do that. I think it's remembrance, and also it evokes that spirit. I mean, if someone named their kid Laura, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it because I don't like my name. But I like Amy. I don't mind that middle name, but you know, if someone named their child after me, I sure as fuck would show up and be like, ooh, who is this little
I'm going to
one?
hang out with you, little Laura.
I will. That's an easy connection, right?
That's cute.
I'm feeling hungry for some spirit candy.
Spirit candy.
Channeled messages from our spirit guides. Let's enjoy it. You go first.
Okay.
Since you were automatic writing, I want to know.
I was checking to see if Maria is good in there. Did she leave? Oh, it's the mailman. Just gotta make sure she's good. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I wrote. It was like, it was automatic writing in that I was automatically writing, but with an intent. Because sometimes I feel like automatic writing, you just like whatever, and whatever comes. But typically there's some sort of. I was like, hey, I want some spirit candy, and this is what came out.
I think
that was my intention.
To have a prompt, yeah.
So, okay. Let's see if there's anything that is. Okay. This is relevant. I wrote, searching is connection. The act of wondering, the act of caring enough to seek. And that's sort of what we were mentioning earlier about the giving a shit enough to even want to know who your spirit guides are. That's what sets you apart from people that don't see magic in the world and don't want to know and don't. And that's fine. That's totally fine. If you're fulfilled, you live your life like without that, that's fine. But we're talking about those of us that do.
Desire magic.
Desire. Anyway, mine's short.
I love that. That's a good one. I have a short one too. You are not turning into a different version of yourself. You are finding your truest identity, which always was, always will be, and always has been. And I think that's one of the most fun things about working with your guides is that they help you rediscover yourself. They help you remember the alternate lifetimes in which you were a magical being.
Yeah.
And realize that even in this like weird ass digital neo-feudalistic world, you can still be magical.
Yeah.
You can have that.
You can have that. You can be that. You can live that way. I don't know any other way
I don't want
to
it.
live. I don't want it.
I don't care if this is all an illusion. It's a fucking good one. Should we take a question?
Let's take a question.
We have quite a few spirit guide questions.
I figured as much because it's such a broad, like I mentioned, sort of intimidating topic.
Ooh, I like this one.
Okay.
Can you choose your spirit guides? So, no. Your spirits choose you. Your spirits choose you. Your spirits choose you. And you should want it that way, because when you start trying to reach out to spirits who aren't yours, that's when things get a little bit wild and crazy and messed up. And
get a little bit Ouija board.
A little bit Ouija board, yeah, a little bit dangerous. And
right.
Yeah. And you have so many guides around you. That's the amazing thing. You have so many different guides around you, and you can connect with any one of them. And there's some guide for every part of yourself that you're trying to explore. There's no need to search beyond those who are already dedicated to you and your well-being and your protection. If you go on TikTok, not everybody agrees, but
are those the people that are like, I'm white and I'm going to invoke Kali?
Exactly.
Like, okay. We've mentioned this person before. A random person.
There are quite a few of those. But honestly, like, stick to who's with you, especially if you're just starting out.
Yeah.
Because
I've never
yeah.
The only thing I've ever seeked out was like Jesus energy.
Yeah. And the truth is, like, if you feel called to a certain spirit,
that's a choosing.
They're probably with you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're probably already with you.
Forever, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was, that's the only time I ever remember being like, let me go outside my normal. Because I was like, I needed something.
Yeah. Well,
we won't get into detail.
And it's also not unusual for certain guides or even folk spirits and deities to only be with you for a short amount of time.
They've got a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
They're widely evoked and known, and those aren't the types of spirits where it's like one person. It's like, no.
Well, okay, and here's the other thing that's interesting. When you're working with deities, folk spirits, ascended masters, those types, you're actually not working with like the OG. So if you are working with Jesus, that is your Jesus.
Yeah.
That is a spirit from
your own personal Jesus.
It is your own personal Jesus. Dun, 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 dun,
this is gonna be a TikTok.
Reach out and touch faith.
I just handed that one to you.
about. I fucking love Depeche Mode. It truly is your own personal Jesus. So there are 3 tiers of spirits. You have your earthbound, poltergeisties, naughty naughties, or just general spirits who haven't figured out where it is they need to be yet. Then you have your in-betweens. These are your elevated spirits, your guides, your ascended ancestors, even some angelic spirits. And then you have your higher ups, your like ascended masters, your deities, your folk spirits. And when those spirits come to you, it's actually a spirit from the 2nd level appearing in their image, which is part of the reason why with all these different Marian apparitions all over the world, Mary is wearing similar clothing, but it's more consistent with like the culture of the local people of that place, because she's probably a 2nd level spirit from that place. Working under the Shroud of Mary. Isn't that fucking cool?
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
That's a cool, very organized way to think about that.
It's fun, right?
So fun.
Yeah. And I'm a Gemini. Like, I generally don't like systems, but sometimes they're helpful.
I don't like boundaries.
I don't like boundaries.
Hence the show. We like a flow of, we like to see both sides of things to a certain extent.
Speaking of boundaries, do you ever need to set boundaries with guides? Sometimes. I mean, they can. So different guides are of different levels of elevation. Different guides are at different levels of detachment from the human experience. Ancestors in particular are usually very opinionated and not necessarily looking out for your highest good, but are concerned with like what their experiences are when they were alive. And they think that they're helping and protecting, but sometimes they get in the way, and it's not because they're not nice or they don't love you. It's because they do love you, but maybe their experience was different. But I've honestly had to have boundaries set with certain spirit guides of mine. Like I had a warrior spirit who's fiercely fucking protective. And I would find myself just like hating my husband so much sometimes for no reason, like extremely angry and frustrated with him. And I was like, this isn't even me.
I'm looking at Mike right now.
And my mentor was like, it's your warrior spirit. He just sees red. He's jealous.
Yeah.
And so I had to set a boundary.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't going to work.
Right.
Like, this is a good human. He's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
We got to make this work. And so that was a boundary I had to set with my guides. You can also set boundaries for like, I'm not comfortable seeing spirits.
I was just going to say that.
I would just like to hear you, please.
That's, I think that's where I'm at right now. Although I am like, they know because they're around me. I watch ghost shit all day. Like, because I'm interested, but I'm like, not quite ready to see you. I might pee my pants.
Yeah.
But I know you're there and it's cool. That's why when my friend was like, they're right behind you. But it was like I'm not spooked out right now in this setting, but it was like, her house was haunted as fuck. It was raining. It was storming out. It was dark. Halloween. Like it was on Samhain, like on Halloween. All of the shit was, and I had a fucked up experience staying there because it was haunted as fuck.
It was already spooky. Yeah.
And then she said that, and I was like, I am gonna run out of here screaming. So, but yes, like I've mentioned, my experiences with death, ironically enough, have opened me up further to wanting to see some shit. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And your good spirits will respect those boundaries. If you tell them you're not
They
ready,
do.
They'll come back and say like, are you ready yet?
I thought I saw someone in the backyard earlier.
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was your brownie.
I think it was my fucking brownie.
Yeah. The little people. They're always stealing shit. Oh, there goes my earring.
Underwear gnomes.
Let's
the
see.
South Park underwear gnomes.
Underwear gnomes. Literally.
That's literally what I picture. These are the underpants on. And they like sing. That episode's so funny.
Does everybody have spirit guides? Yes. Everyone is born with guides. Everyone on earth is born with a team of spirits eager and ready to assist you to achieve your highest good, to live your happiest life, to follow through with your destiny. Just because you were born, you are worthy. Because you were born, you are worthy.
Because you were born, you are worthy, and you're unique, and you have gifts.
The earth asked for you to be here, and your guides are here to help you figure out why.
Why? What do you want to do with? I think it's what causes a lot of people anxiety and stress. At least it's caused me anxiety and stress, is not knowing what what your purpose is, what you're gonna leave behind, like what you're gonna, what you make out of your life. I think when people get that's the most common sense of struggle I see with like problems accepting aging and having regrets and things like that. And so your spirit guides and connecting to them can help you figure out your life's purpose.
Absolutely.
And what you should be doing with it.
I think part of the reason it's so hard for us now too to find our life's purpose is because our worthiness is so tied into our productivity and our jobs, our job titles. And like, that's just not what earth and life was ever meant to be about. And your spirits help you figure out like how to actually enjoy yourself.
And it's free.
It's free. Your
when you
spirits are
don't
free.
have a lot
Yeah.
and capitalism and the fucking patriarchal bullshit society we live in has you down and is, some people don't have time to think about that, but it's a free thing you can do. You can find, if you can find the time to give it a little attention.
Absolutely.
It can go a long way.
When I was working full-time in apparel, I was working like 60, 80-hour weeks, and like I would talk to them in the car.
Right.
I would talk to them in the bathroom while I
shower.
cried.
I just got showered in my head. Shower. That's where mine. Okay.
Me too.
That's so weird.
I get the biggest downloads in the shower and in the bathtub.
Yeah, the shower, because
It's
water.
Same time we said that.
Water's-
Geminis.
Have you seen my bathroom? It's turning into a. Did you see the shower curtain?
It is a temple. I was going to comment on the new shower curtain. I
put the
fucking
plants in
love
there?
it. I love it. I have plants
Juniper,
in my shower too. That's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
A little earth, a little water, a little spirit.
I love water.
Me too.
Energy.
Yeah.
It's that idle mind, right? So that's, like bathing yourself. Yeah. Folding the
yourself is
laundry,
spiritual.
cooking, bathing yourself. Oh my God. Showers and shower magic and shower thoughts are just, I've come up with some of the best ideas I've ever had.
Me too.
I think I came up with like this podcast in the shower or like messaging you about that in the shower. Like that's just where it happens for me.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm sure
try to
that's
keep
your
my
alone
phone
time too,
at,
right?
Like, arm's reach. Yes, it's the only
As a
time I get
mom,
alone.
like that's your
is the
alone time.
shower.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's so funny.
Yeah. Anyways.
Let's see. I have one more spirit guide question. Can guides push their earthly baggage on us? Do they bring baggage into the afterlife?
That's a heavy question that I don't know the answer to.
So generally speaking, sometimes, yeah.
If they're, did they ask guides or like just spirits in general?
They said guides specifically.
Because I know that spirits sure as fuck can bring
Spirits sure as fuck can bring their baggage.
But if they're a guide attached to you,
That's
in
why
that way,
elevating your ancestors is so important, because they dump all their baggage on you.
That's a good question I have, is like, how do you tell the difference
Between
a
ancestors
spiritual
and guides?
attachment and a guide attached to you?
So your guides will give you a feeling of calm and knowing. An attachment will make you feel anxious, worried,
Drained.
and untrusting, drained.
Right.
That's the
Okay.
difference.
That's good. That's good. To know.
Important to note, because there are trickster spirits out there who will present themselves as a guide. Not like Hermes. Like there are low vibrational like trickster spirits who will say, "Sure, I'm your guide."
Yeah.
And
Sure, I'm an innocent little boy ghost.
yeah, you wonder why you're so fucking exhausted and angry all of the time. It's
Come play
because
with
they're
me.
feeding off of you.
Yeah.
But guides can bring their baggage, like the example I gave earlier about a guide being jealous. And our guides are all of different levels of elevation. And if you find that like a guide is dumping their baggage on you, like say something to them. Say like, this isn't working for me.
I love that
We need a break.
That's great. I love that the different. I'm like starting to like really take in the different levels, and I'm thinking about the different levels of trickster.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, Hermes, but Hermes is an ascended high.
Hermes is an Olympian.
Top tier Olympian motherfucker.
Hermes is more concerned with like greater
But
boundaries,
that's like
not personal
but,
ones.
But I just think it's fascinating that trickster can mean that, but it also means
naughty,
and I think
naughty.
that's where the concept of trickster gets condensed into just meaning a fraudulent energy, when that's not. I mean, this is what our whole
so much
podcast
bigger than that.
is. It's so much bigger than
Yeah.
that, and it's about expanding boundaries and
Yeah.
pushing them.
And trickster
I
is
think
also
that's fascinating.
the storyteller.
The storyteller, there's
When you
lessons.
think of like
there's-
Coyote or
Yes.
Anansi, the spider, Prometheus. Like trickster is the entertainer and the storyteller, the jester.
I love that.
Trickster is complex, and like all realms of spirits
Right.
are complex. And the more you practice, the more you start to become sensitive to those energies, and you figure it out.
The more you can figure out how to do it your way.
Do it my way.
Tying it back.
That was excellent. Brought it all the way back around.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the Third Eye line. Until next week.
Until next week.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/Third Eye Bind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Kaitlyn Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at Lady Moon Co. And you can find Kaitlyn on Instagram at Spirit Garden Tarot.